Reports. I am Pugs Moran here on the Radio Misfits podcast and streaming network. We do this every Monday through Friday, noon till whenever. It's headlines, hot topics, current events, hot takes, whatever it is that people are buzzing about. I try and give it to you here every day. A cheat sheet really for your day so that, you're never going to be the guy that's like, somebody comes up to you, hey, did you hear about? And you're like, no. And then you got to sit there and listen to them and it's awful. Yeah. So if you check out this show, I'm going to provide you with the tools that you need to never be that guy. Here's how it works though. We do this in a couple of different segments. The first segment we call that previously on or erstwhile on. Previously on. We go through the events of this day throughout history. We look for patterns, we look for rhythms, and then we talk about birthdays. People who were born on this day. We talk about them, their contributions. Whatever. Sometimes we take the piss out of them. Doesn't matter. Whatever. We like a paper bag in the wind. We just wherever it blows us. And then we go into the mornings, people who have died on this day. So we kind of look at their lives and we decide, do we care? And I know that sounds cold, but honestly, everybody dies and we can't care about everybody. There are a lot of bad people out there and bad people die every day. So we go through the list and we still monkeying with the idea of doing heaven and hell. Although that just... it feels like that's been done. Anyway, doesn't matter. So that's what we do. We do erstwhile on this day. We look for patterns. We do birthdays. We celebrate people born on this day. And then we talk about people who have passed away. And then and only then, after I feel we've got a very nice, solid, well-rounded idea of what this day has represented in the past, then we move forward into the topics of today. Okay. So if you're willing to dedicate at least the next 2 hours or so, maybe a little bit less. I don't know. I see the chat room. Come on, everybody. Gather around. Grab your beanbag chairs. Form your soul circle of life. Join hands and let's make a pledge towards positivity. Let's leave the cynicism back in the real world. Right now, it's about... I don't know what it's about. I'll tell you what it's about. I see some smack talk going on in the chat room already because I was 4 minutes late. And I'm not 4 minutes late. Just stop it. Okay, if a show starts at noon, there's no radio show in America that starts at noon, that says it starts at noon. Everything's got a couple of commercials at the top of the hour identifiers, top of the hour news, whatever. So, yeah, we were 4 minutes late. I wish I had an excuse for you. The excuse is this morning while prepping the show, I fell into a 10,000 Maniacs hole and just have been listening to 10,000 Maniacs playlists on Spotify. And, it was a particular song that I liked that started up around 11:58 a.m. and I had to let it play through. So that's why we're a little bit late today. All right, let's get started. What do you say? Should we tackle this day? Yeah, why not? Whitney's here, April's here, Jeff's here, Byron's here, Rainy Days is here, Taronda's here. We got Leslie C. All right, come on up. The dog is driving me nuts, y'all. The dog, it's landscaper day, and I'm pretty sure the landscapers have already come, but I don't know. I can't know for sure. So I need the dog to be up here, right? So we're gonna have to take a break at some point. Do you hear the dog? Can you hear her? She's barking at something. All right, I gotta take a quick break. I gotta handle the dog situation. Oh, she's a pain in the ass. I mean, I love her. Don't get me wrong. I love her, but oh my God, right? Pain in the ass. All right, I need to take a quick break. I'll be right back. We'll get the show started. I apologize. Hold on. Be right back. Swear to God. Can't have the landscaper showing up while I'm streaming and her having access to the backyard. That'll not be good. Hey, come here, girl. Let's go. Okay, move. Move. Get out of the way. You're in the way. Come on, baby. You're in the way. Ah! Ugh. Had to bribe her with milk bones. So now there she is. She's enjoying her milk bones now. Whoa. Hey, dog. Dog, what? You done with your milk bones? Okay, go lay down. Go lay down. We're going to start the show. Okay. All right. First, she's going to want to probably get in the way of something, so we'll have to let her get settled. No, that ain't right. Is that right? That'll be fine. Okay. All right. Suppose I can get rid of this. Go away. Go away. There are no more milk bones. You've been had. You've been lured to this room for the next 2 hours based on the promise of endless milk bones, and it turns out there was only 2 milk bones. Fooled again. Ah! Top of the food chain, baby. That's why we humans are top of the food chain. We don't get fooled by the promise of endless milk bones. We ask questions like, where would all these milk bones come from? Yeah. All right. Sorry, folks. Just trying to get the dog settled. She settles down when I talk to her. It's weird. She's a very hyper dog. She's a Catahoula, so they are like they're like cocaine dogs. They're like always on cocaine. They're like completely nuts all the time. But when I talk to her and when I talk to her conversationally, she tends to just lay down and get calm. That's exactly what she's doing now. All right. Very good, girl. Very good. All right, let's get started, folks. This is the High Noon Stream. I am Pugs Moran. I've got the sidekick CeeLo here. She seems set for the duration. We're going to move forward with today's topics and all the things that are happening in today's world. Hold on a second. Just one more second. One more second. Someone's texting me. CVS would like me to know that I have $5 off this weekend because I am a member of CVS Extra Care. That's good. That's good. I've been using those 5. I get every Thursday. I get like a thing from CVS. If you're buying something at CVS, it's $5 off this weekend, which is great because I go through a lot of sunscreen, especially when I have the boy. Now I don't have the boy this weekend, so I don't anticipate going through a lot of sunscreen. But it's it's good. CVS Extra Care. So I'm glad I checked that. All right, can you tell I'm kind of delaying getting started? Don't know why I'm doing that. Let's jump right in. All right, it is the High Noon Show for the 13th, 13th day of July, year of our Lord, 2023. July 13, around these parts at least, is the 194th day of the year. There's 171 more of these left. 171 more days until New Year's Eve. So get them plans started. All right, let's go into a little segment that we like to call Erstwhile on this day. This is where we go through all the events that have occurred on previous editions of July the 13th. Let's get started on this day in 1930. The inaugural FIFA World Cup begins play. Where we played it in Uruguay, the very first one. There you go. The beautiful game. Isn't that what they call it? What do they call it? The beautiful game. FIFA is like Super Bowl. So would that be like the FIFA era, like how we call NFL football? We break it down into like, the Super Bowl era and then the old time era. I don't know, whatever. On this day in 1930, the inaugural FIFA World Cup begins in Uruguay. On this day in 1973, during the Watergate scandal, Alexander Butterfield reveals the existence of a secret Oval Office taping system to investigators for the Senate Watergate Committee. If you're into the minutia and if you're into, because like everybody knows like the primary names in Watergate, but this dude right here, Alexander Butterfield, this was a guy that really, really hit that story into overdrive. He's the guy that knew about the tapes. Well, he can say he didn't say anything, but there are tapes, and we didn't know that. Alexander Butterfield, great name in American history. On this day in 1977 in New York City, amidst a period of financial and social turmoil, they had an electrical blackout lasting nearly 24 hours. It leads to widespread fires and looting. Now, this is the famous Summer of Sam blackout. New York City on this day suffered a major blackout. There was a heat wave. It was super hot, and they lost all power in New York City, starting at like, I want to say it started at like 8:00 at night. Like I think it started at night and it went all through the night and went all through the next day. But you have to understand, like, the blackout was a big deal in the riots and the looting and all that stuff, the burning of Harlem that occurred. All of that stuff was terrible. Man, there was crazy stuff happening in New York City at the time. Like, in addition to the blackout that occurred on this day, as it says here, they were filing for bankruptcy. The city of New York was going bankrupt. They weren't able to pay anybody, cops, firemen, sanitation. Okay, so you had that. Then you had the Son of Sam serial killer who was working this very week. I mean, this was prime time for the Son of Sam thing when everybody was afraid to go in the streets and the Son of Sam is out there. New York is bankrupt, and now there's a blackout. It was a record-setting heat wave. And then you got like the New York Yankees that were just like captivating everybody. So you had all these awful things, but then you had this distraction of the New York Yankees, the Billy Martin, George Steinbrenner Yankees with Reggie Jackson and Thurman Munson not getting along. Oh my God, what a crazy time in New York. And it was on this day in 1977 that amidst all of that stuff that was going on in New York City, the big blackout occurred where everything went dark and the whole of Harlem burned. On this day in 1985, the Live Aid benefit concert took place in London and Philadelphia, as well as other venues, such as in Moscow and Sydney. Don't remember much about Moscow and Sydney. I do remember Live Aid. Man, I was such a nerd. Okay, so when was this? So this was 1985. So it was on this day in 85. So I was 15 years old. So on this day in 1985, I was 15 years old. Live Aid was happening. It was on a Saturday. I remember that. It was on a Saturday. And I remember I had friends. I lived in a condominium development, and we had a really cool pool. And my friends always wanted to come to my pool because my pool had kind of a cool scene, especially if you were a teenager. And so I had to get my friends into the pool. And then I went home to watch Live Aid because I lived just a couple of steps away. I just lived probably 50 yards away from the pool. So I checked my friends into the pool. My friends all went to the pool. And my mom was probably at the pool. Everybody would go to the pool then. But I remember at 15, it was so important to me that I had to go home. I had to watch Live Aid. I had to watch the Philadelphia. I had to watch the England. Man, I watched that stuff all day. And every hour or so, like when a band I didn't care for would come on stage, I would then go back to the pool and I would just check in at the pool. What's going on, guys? Yeah, Genesis killed. They were awesome. Phil Collins is he's going to play both London and Philadelphia. He's jumping on a plane. Like I was giving updates. That was a cool thing. Live Aid was a cool thing. Now it seems almost quaint and, because we're all so connected due to other means, but that was wild. The idea that Phil Collins could play a set at Wembley, be helicoptered from Wembley to a waiting Learjet, private jet, then flown across the Atlantic to Philadelphia, city of Philadelphia, to play the stadium there, Veterans Stadium. That was cool. That was crazy, man. That was like, how does that? I mean, now it's like, basically we expect time travel now. But anyway, Live Aid on this day in 1985. If you're a Gen Xer, big day, big moment. Also on this day in 1985, Vice President George Herbert Walker Bush temporarily becomes acting president for the day when Ronald Reagan undergoes polyp surgery in his colon. I guess old Ronnie Reagan had the swollen colon. Polyps on his swollen colon. All right. On this day in 2016, Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, David Cameron, resigns. He's succeeded by anybody? Theresa May. That's right, Theresa May. Remember, he resigned because he was like, yeah, you know what? Just everybody shut up about Brexit. Brexit ain't gonna pass. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm David Cameron, Prime Minister of England. Tell you what, you idiots, that stupid thing passes, I'll resign. Swear to God, if you idiots enact Brexit, I'll resign. That's how confident I am that it ain't gonna. And then, well, unfortunately, it passed, and he had to resign. Why did he have to resign? See, this is the thing. They're still doing the old school thing in England. He shouldn't have resigned. You think in America, something like that? Like take the president of the United States. Like imagine like Trump. Imagine if Trump was still president. And like, imagine the Dr. Oz Fetterman race, right? Imagine then sitting President Trump going, if Fetterman beats Oz, I'll step down. That's how sure I am. He would never. He would, because then Fetterman won. But Trump would never go, well, I'm going to honor my. But we don't do that anymore in this country. Or at least we shouldn't, because what we've learned is that people forget. Idiots like David Cameron throw you on the historic Al Franken pile of forgettable people who died with honor by falling on their sword. Please. Yeah. All right. And now Al Franken's like desperately trying to figure his way back in. You shouldn't have left, dude. It was a lark. You were a comedian. You were the guy who went and got cocaine for John Belushi in the early days of Saturday Night Live. That's who you are, Al Franken. Yeah, you had an Ivy League education. You're a pretty smart guy. You seem like a wit. You did some pretty interesting talk radio in your time that you did that. But I don't know that you were ever really the guy that was supposed to be a senator, right? Are you a leader? Aren't you the guy who got Belushi his coke? That's still who I think of you as. Then he became a hero because, he's a good talker. He's an entertaining guy. And he was sort of like the cult of personality that has taken over politics. He was certainly a beneficiary of that. Like the cult of personality is now like, we want to vote for a guy who's just like us, right? The guy who's like, he hates them too, right? We hate the same people, that whole thing. But Al Franken was like, part of that cult of personality movement with like Jesse Ventura, right? When he became governor, Arnold Schwarzenegger, when he became, that kind of a thing. I don't know. I have mixed feelings about Al Franken. I have mixed feelings because that stupid Kristen Gillibrand, he like totally bowed to her. She's like the worst. I'm so offended that he took a picture. Anyway, guys like that, don't fall on your sword. That's my advice to you. Don't fall on your sword anymore. Nobody has to. Everybody forgets. Just survive a week of bad PR and everybody forgets. Anyway, that's how I feel about it. On this day in 2020, after a 5-day search, the body of American actress and singer Naya Rivera is recovered from Lake Piru, where she drowned in California. So Naya Rivera was an actress on Glee. She went for a swim in a lake and she died, and they found her body on this day. Put a pin in that. Remember, this is what I say. This is why we look at the events of the day and we try and look for rhythms. We try and look for things. Put a pin in that idea that on this day in 2020, the body of Glee star Naya Rivera is recovered from Lake Piru in California. All right, let's move on to some birthdays. Let's talk about some people who are celebrating some birthdays born on this day, one of our more lighthearted parts of the day. How about Bob Crane, born on this day in 1928? Hogan! Bob Crane, Hogan's Heroes. You don't want to dive too deeply into his Wikipedia page, especially if you're like a big Hogan's Heroes purist. He was into some stuff, man. He died. Well, I think we talked about it recently. I think we talked about the anniversary of his death, maybe was recently. I don't know. We talked about how he went down. He was one of the originators of like homemade porn. He made a lot of homemade porn back in the 70s. Weird pre-aerobics bodies. Women with like really big bouffant hairdos and like strange curves by anybody who came into their sexual awareness in the post-aerobics body era. That things changed around 1980 when women started. You look at a naked woman from 1974 and then look at a naked woman from 1984. A naked woman from 1984 is going to be one of these hard bodies. They're all aerobicized and they're all tight. That was my awareness. That's how I became a fan of the female form in the post-aerobics body era. On this day, Bob Crane probably got a lot of movies with pre-aerobics body women. On this day in 1940, Paul Prudhomme is born. He's an American chef. He's that Cajun chef. He's that big fat guy who's like really likable, right? But he was big like 30 years ago, right? Paul Prudhomme, he didn't really like now you got like other TV chef guys. Paul Prudhomme, is he the French chef? What's he known as? The Cajun chef? Whatever. I don't know. He was big at some point. Paul Prudhomme's restaurant in New Orleans, I know, was big at some point. Don't know if it still is. Born on this day in 1940, Paul Prudhomme. Also born on this day in 1940, Patrick Stewart, English actor, director, and producer. This is very cool, okay? Because Patrick Stewart was born on this day in 1940. Patrick Stewart is one of those dudes, man. he has on his resume like 2 super iconic roles, right? Like he is this iconic. He is Captain Picard, iconic in the Star Trek universe. He is Captain Picard, and he's Professor X in the X-Men films. I mean, Professor X and Picard. That's about as cool as it can get, right? Happy birthday, Patrick Stewart. Now, I say that's interesting because that is pretty cool. Who's going to beat that? How about our birthday boy, born on this day in 1942? Harrison Ford can beat that. Sure, Picard and who's the other guy? Picard and Professor X from the X-Men. Picard and X are cool, but they ain't Han Solo or Indiana Jones because they ain't Rick Decker. They ain't Dr. Richard Kimball. Oh my God, you want to talk about that? They ain't Jack Ryan. I didn't even mention the Jack Ryan Harrison Ford movies. Holy cow. So obviously this would be the point where we would do a Harrison Ford draft, but I can't do a Harrison Ford draft. I monkeyed around with it. I've seen every movie Harrison Ford has ever made. I mean, if there is any quintessential actor for my generation, the Gen X, the kid, I mean, my God, he was Han Solo to me when I was 6. Do you know how like cool Han Solo was to a 6-year-old? He made an impression. So I couldn't really do a Harrison Ford draft because everything is so good. I monkeyed with the idea of let's do a Harrison Ford draft of movies that aren't Indiana Jones, Jack Ryan, or Star Wars related. And that would have been a draft you could do because he's got so many good movies. He's just got so many good movies. Anyway, happy birthday, Harrison Ford and Patrick Stewart. Patrick Stewart, born on this day in 1940. Harrison Ford, born on this day in 1942. Happy birthday to both. Born on this day in 1942, Roger McGuinn, American singer, songwriter, and guitarist. Turn, turn, turn. The Birds, right? And that's him, Roger McGuinn, The Birds. Born on this day in 1942. Born on this day in 1946, Cheech Marin, one half of Cheech and the Chong. Born on this day in 1946, Cheech Marin. Born on this day in 1948, Tony Kornheiser, American television sports talk show host, sports writer, author, hosted Pardon the Interruption. I like Kornheiser. He's got old man hot sports opinions. I like old man hot sports opinions from time to time. Born on this day in 1948, Tony Kornheiser. Born on this day in 1954, Louise Mandrell. You're probably saying, who's Louise Mandrell? Well, if you're Generation X, as I am, as I've pointed out numerous times so far in this rundown, you might remember the Mandrell sisters. It was a variety show. Barbara Mandrell was like super famous. She was so famous that they were like, you want a TV show? And she's like, I'm supposed to spend the summer with my sisters. And they're like, okay, they can be on the show too. So they created this show, the Mandrell Sisters show. And I don't know, obviously, here's what I remember. It wasn't my thing, right? I was probably like 10 years old. Wasn't really my thing. But the adults in the room would watch it and they would go, these Mandrell sisters are so talented. Anyway, Louise Mandrell, she's one of them. I think Louise Mandrell was the really hot one. Like Barbara Mandrell to me at 10 was just like, she looked like one of my mom's friends. Right? You know what I mean? I wasn't looking at it like that. But Louise Mandrell, who I believe was like significantly younger. I want to say like Louise Mandrell at the time may have been like 18 or whatever. I don't know. Anyway, she's celebrating her birthday today. Born on this day in 1954, Louise Mandrell. She turns out she's probably in her early 20s. Born on this day in 1956, how about Michael Spinks, American boxer? Michael Spinks, we mentioned him. We just talked about his dad, Leon Spinks. We talked about Leon Spinks shocking the world, shocking the world, winning a 15-round decision over Muhammad Ali, and Leon Spinks becoming heavyweight champion of the world. Michael Spinks was Leon Spinks' son. Michael Spinks had a pretty nice career of his own. I do believe Michael Spinks, was it Michael Spinks versus Mike Tyson, where Michael Spinks spent the whole ramp up to the fight just really being awful and belittling Mike Tyson. And then Tyson like knocked him out in like 10 seconds. It was like super quick. Like the fight was super quick. Like Tyson just came out like a bear. There was none of this sizing each other up and down. Tyson I believe it was the Michael Spinks fight where Tyson just came out and said, I'm going to kill this MFer. You ring that bell, I'm running straight towards him, and I'm just going to start pummeling him. And it was like Michael Spinks was like, wait, is this boxing? Wait, I don't even know what's happening here. I think that was the Spinks fight. Born on this day in 1956, Michael Spinks. Born on this day in 1957, Cameron Crowe, ladies and gentlemen. This one will do a draft, a Cameron Crowe draft. Why not? Cameron Crowe, writer, director, screenwriter, film director, storyteller, reporter, author, all of that stuff. Cameron Crowe, let's do a Cameron Crowe draft. These are all things that Cameron Crowe has written and directed. First pick, the number one pick, he comes in as the writer. That's right, Cameron Crowe wrote Fast Times at Ridgemont High. So many iconic lines from that movie. Cameron Crowe wrote and directed the number 2 pick in the Cameron Crowe draft, Singles. How many times I got to tell you, I'm Gen X. I love Singles. Cameron Crowe wrote and directed the number 3 pick off the Cameron Crowe draft board. That's going to be Almost Famous. Almost Famous, number 3. Now, number 4 and 5, we're going to go into a couple of documentaries. He loves documenting rock history, and he has done a couple of incredible documentaries. Number 4 off the board in the Cameron Crowe draft, Pearl Jam 20. That's right, written, directed, 20 years of Pearl Jam, the documentary. Number 5 off the board is one that just came out last year. I saw it only recently. I saw it only after he passed away. Cameron Crowe wrote and directed David Crosby's Remember My Name. Terrific documentary on the life and career of David Crosby. All right, we are going to invite some people to camp. There are a couple of camps. He's not as prolific as many might assume, but he does have a couple that we're going to bring into camp. We are going to bring in Say Anything. That's right. He wrote and directed Say Anything. We're going to bring that into camp. The Wildlife. Now, I don't know if you guys remember The Wildlife. The Wildlife, he was a script that he cranked out after Fast Times at Ridgemont High. It started, not Sean Penn, who had starred as Spicoli in Fast Times at Ridgemont High. The Wildlife starred his brother, Chris Penn, as a party animal drinker. I don't know. It was funny. If you were 12 years old, it was a funny movie. Wildlife gets an invite. Elizabethtown also gets an invite. That's a nice little movie, Elizabethtown. You may notice there is one thing that isn't getting an invite because it's a movie that will forever be atop my shit list. Jerry Maguire. Jerry Maguire does not get a whatever, Cameron. Whatever. Jerry Maguire, that big pile of heaping garbage. I hated that movie. That movie was supposed to be an inside look at the world of sports representation, the idea, the money side of sports, the sports agency business. I don't know what I was seeing, probably maybe Outbreak. I don't know what the hell I was seeing. I was seeing a movie and I watched The Coming Attraction, and there was this new movie coming. It was a Cameron Crowe movie. It starred Tom Cruise, and it was Tom Cruise as a sports agent, and I was all in. And then I went to the movies and I watched Tom Cruise, and it was a rom-com. It was a rom-com. The original trailers for Jerry Maguire seemed like it was going to be a cool sports movie. It was not a cool sports movie. So Jerry Maguire does not make it in my Cameron Crowe draft. Hate that movie. It's right up there with Titanic. Yeah, Titanic's up there too. Don't get me started on Titanic. Would you hit the iceberg already? My God, that was like a 4-hour movie. 3 hours of it was 3 hours of it was Downton Abbey. I swear to God. Have you tried to rewatch Titanic? It's awful. It is awful. Hit the damn... when I saw it originally in the movie theater, I turned to my then wife, and this may be one of the reasons why we're divorced. We were watching Titanic at Water Tower Place in downtown Chicago. We were in the Water Tower Place Theaters, and the Water Tower Place Theaters had a Galaga machine in the lobby. Do you remember what Galaga was? Galaga was a really, really cool, but kind of rare video game from the early 1980s. So imagine my surprise when I go to see Titanic at the Water Tower Theaters in 1998, 99, whenever it came out, and they've got a 15-year-old Galaga machine. So that was in the back of my mind. So after about an hour and a half of this Downton Abbey bullshit, which is what Titanic was, an hour and a half of this nonsense, I turned to my then wife and I say, I'm going to go play Galaga for a while. Come get me when it hits something. And that was basically it. So I missed like an hour of the guts of Titanic. And then sure enough, she came, she's like, I think something's about to happen. And I'm like, okay, let me wrap up this game. And then I enjoyed the floating on the raft and, you know, all of that stuff. It was all, so don't get me started. All right, let's keep moving. Birthdays. We're still doing birthdays. Let's do some birthdays. Ken Jeong was born on this day in 1969. Ken Jeong, American actor, comedian, and physician. That's right. Ken Jeong's a doctor. He's a doctor. And he's a silly, over-the-top, lunatic actor. Like you would like, could you imagine Ken Jeong telling you test results that were bad? You know, I don't know how that works. Ken Jeong, I love him though. Happy birthday. He's so funny. He kills me. Who did he play on Community? Chang. He played Chang, the head of the Spanish language department. He was the yeah. Anyway, Senor Chang. Ken Jeong, happy birthday. Born on this day in 1969. Born on this day in 1989. Here's a local boy making good, American soul singer extraordinaire. Put your hands together in an extended round of applause and a happy birthday for Leon Bridges. Leon Bridges. I know he's from Fort Worth. You know, like I know he's from Fort Worth, and I've read his story and all that stuff. Man, that kid is amazing. Kid, he's probably in his 40s. Seems like a kid to me. Leon Bridges, born on this day in 1989. Yeah, he is. He's 20. Okay, 20, 30, he's 33. He's not in his 40s. All right, now let's go into some deaths. These are the people who have died. These are the people who have died. Are you ready? Here we go. These are folks who have passed away on this day, and we decide, do we care? First and foremost, dead on this day in 1954, how about Frida Kahlo? Frida Kahlo, Mexican painter and educator. Here's what I know about Frida Kahlo. Next to nothing. Other than they made a movie about her and they cast Salma Hayek to play her and they made Salma Hayek ugly. So no, I do not care that Frida Kahlo died on this day. Frida Kahlo was apparently not an attractive woman, and they cast one of the world's most attractive women to play her, and they gave her a giant caterpillar unibrow, and it was weird, and I couldn't look at Salma Hayek the same way for years. Although she's fixed that. Have you seen the viral videos that 57-year-old Salma Hayek is putting out? She's putting out bikini videos on Instagram, like within the last week. And oh my God, forget about the Frida movie. I'm back on Team Salma. 57 years old. Seriously, you guys. I showed 57 years old. I showed it to my 14-year-old son. And he was like, oh my God, Dad. I go, I know. He's like, how old is she? She's 57. That's Salma Hayek. He's like, that's Salma Hayek. I go, yeah. She looks like a club girl. You know, she looks like she is amazing. Anyway, moving on. Let's talk about the people who died. Frida Kahlo. They made Salma Hayek ugly. We don't care. Dead on this day in 1954. Dead on this day in 2006. How about Red Buttons? Red Buttons was an American actor. Do you guys know who Red Buttons is? And not to be confused with like Red Skeleton or whoever. There were a number of people named Red or Red Grange. Back then, a lot of people were singled out by their hair color. That became their brand. That became their entire identity. Why was there such an interest in people with red hair? I don't know. Anyway, Red Buttons died on this day in 2006. He was an actor, and was he a comedian? He might have been a comedian. He always seemed to play somebody simple. You know, he always seemed to play somebody who's just really nice. And I don't know. He always bugged me. I'm like, why are you famous? Are you famous just because you're nice to everybody? Like, that's ego. Are you famous because they just let you hang around because you've been hanging around since the 1940s and you're just nice? I don't know. So I don't care. Red Buttons died. All I know him from is the Poseidon Adventure. And he was like that borderline simpleton guy in that movie too. I don't know. Don't know enough about him. Dead on this day in 2010, George Steinbrenner. Now, let me just tell you this much. I'm a Yankee fan. I like the New York Yankees. The New York Yankees are one of my top teams that I root for. When everything's done, my team's been eliminated. The Yankees for many years have been around. And the Yankees were my grandfather's favorite team. So over the course of me growing up with my grandfather, Yankees, a lot of Yankee lore, a lot of Yankee stories. Anytime the Yankees would come to town, those would be the White Sox games that he would take me to. Big Yankees. So I like the Yankees. And he loves Steinbrenner. He, back in the 70s, when Steinbrenner's a very polarizing dude. He died on this day in 2010. But man, as someone who loves his sports teams, I would kill for an owner like that. That dude just wanted to win. And you know what? He did win. He did win. The dude delivered titles and basically the 90s. I mean, do you remember the Yankees in the 90s? Do you remember the Yankees in the 70s and in the early 80s? Do you remember the Yankees in the mid 2000s? I mean, the dude delivered. Not like Jerry Jones, right? Like, you look at Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones doesn't deliver. Jerry Jones is just a used car salesman. But man, you got the impression that, like, when the Yankees were sucking, that really was the most important thing in George Steinbrenner's life. So yes, we care. George Steinbrenner, he's a great man of baseball. If you were a Yankee fan, even if you were not a Yankee fan, a lot of Yankee fans don't like him. A lot of Yankee fans think that he did. But oh my God, how can you look at the 1990s and all the different teams that he put together, what he allowed Cashman to do? I mean, the Yankees were devastated in the early 90s, and they became the team of the decade. Crazy. All right. Anyway, George Steinbrenner, dead on this day in 2010. There's a number of really good documentaries about George Steinbrenner. There's one on the ESPN Plus app. I believe it's in the 30 for 30 collection. I could be wrong on that, but it's one of those really good ESPN documentaries on George Steinbrenner. Complicated guy, interesting guy. Dead on this day in 2013. So when I told you at the end of the previously on segment, I told you about on this day in 2020 that Naya Riviera girl from Glee was killed. She died on this day. What was on this day in 2013? That Corey Monteith of Glee was dead. So I didn't watch Glee, but I was reading a couple of things about this morning, about this coincidence. Apparently they were like, their characters interacted quite a bit on Glee. Like, I don't know what the storylines of Glee. I never watched Glee. But I understand that, like, they were characters who interacted, and both of them, to die on the same day so young. One Corey Monteith, heroin and alcohol. They think he accidentally overdosed, but then other people are like, no, he was trying to kill himself. And I don't know about the other girl. I know that drowning, so you got to assume that. All right, there you have it. Do we care about Corey Monteith? Yeah, we care. Yeah, we care. Young man, prime of his life. I don't know. Didn't seem like he was bothering anybody. He had some demons, and he succumbed to them. All right, let's talk about all the things that are happening, right? This is what we do here on the High Noon Report. The High Noon Report brought to you by our friends at Sacred Oil, or at least partially brought to you by our friends at Sacred Oil. Sacred Oil's 13740 Midway Road in Farmers Branch, Texas. All your CBD needs, deltas, tinctures, smokables, gummies, whatever it is that you need, they've got it there at Sacred Oil's 13740 Farmers Branch. 13740 Midway Road in Farmers Branch. I don't know why I said Farmers Branch first. Also, if you can remember, it would be a great help to us around these parts if you could think on occasion about helping the show out. The show runs. We do 5 shows Monday through Friday, 2 hours at least every single day. We've been doing it now for a couple of years, and we run on your tips. So if you want to drop a little something, either the Venmo or the Cash App, that's greatly appreciated. It's it's how the show exists. So All right, let's move on. Let's get into all of the trends that are happening today. Let's get you caught up on what you need to know. First and foremost, how about this heat, ladies and gentlemen? That's right. We're going to start each and every day out with a little heat update. All right, what do we got here? All right, not too bad. All right, currently in Highland Park, Texas at 12:45 p.m., we've got a temperature of 92 degrees. 92 degrees, that is not bad. Yesterday went up to 102. Saw it as high as 102. Death Valley, the reason heat is trending. Death Valley in California is expected to approach and possibly even eclipse. Are you ready? 130 degrees Fahrenheit. Death Valley could approach 130 Fahrenheit as heat intensifies over the southwest. Temperatures in the scorching hot southwest are expected to climb higher in the coming days. Locations including Phoenix and Las Vegas could flirt with all-time record highs. Ooh, okay, so this is missing us down here in Texas. So we should one, knock a little wood on that and feel good about it. But it's going to be a long-ass summer, man. It's been a long-ass summer. Yesterday, I looked down at my temperature thing about 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Hit refresh on it, 102. I was like, oh, my God. Oh, my God. And this isn't even bad. That's what dawned on me. It's like it's 102, and that's not even that bad. The fact that I now don't register 102 degrees as being that bad. 110, oh, my God, it's bad. 102, I'm like, come on, bring more. 130, they're saying possibly for Death Valley and parts of Nevada. Today, big news, birth control. That's right, the FDA. That's right, they're going to be throwing out birth control on parade routes now. No, I'm kidding, but the FDA has approved the first non-prescription daily oral contraceptive. Today, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration approved Opal. That's what it's called. It's a big giant capital O, followed by the word pill, P-I-L-L. Capital O, P-I-L-L. Opal. It's the Opal tablet. It's a non-prescription, and it's used to prevent pregnancy. The first daily oral contraceptive approved for use in the United States without a prescription. Okay, so I don't know much about this because I never had, obviously I've dated a number of women who've used birth control and been on birth control. I understand it's kind of a problem, kind of like, hey, I guess it's complicated. But I never understood why there needed to be a prescription. Why has there got to be a list of women who are, worried that because of their casual interest in sex, they might get pregnant. They don't want to get pregnant because of their casual interest in sex. Why do they have to be on a list? Why were prescription pregnancy, the pill? Why was that always a prescription? That's always, I guess at the time, I don't know, people looked at it differently because they pretended that women weren't sexually active. Women have always been sexually active. You think your grandma never gave a beach? She did. They just didn't talk about it. They just weren't as sexually charged as a society. They just turned a blind eye and pretended things weren't happening. But people were doing it in the back seats of cars. Teenagers were getting pregnant in 1930. It's not like, Anyway, I never really understood that. So here we go. So we've got a non-prescription first daily oral contraceptive. It's been approved in the U.S. Approval of this progestin-only oral contraceptive pill provides an option for consumers to purchase oral contraceptive medicine without a prescription at drugstores, convenience stores, and grocery stores, as well as online. Is this a problem? Is this, I guess I've never really thought about this aspect of the whole, abortion debate. Because I understand the abortion debate to be, the issue is murder. You're murdering. So I can understand that. We can talk about this. But do those same groups also have a problem with birth control, preemptive? Like there's no murder occurring, right? There's no, so it's not quite the same. But I don't know. Is it just they don't want people having sex? Is that what it is? People who can't get laid are making rules for people who can. Sexy people gotta have sex, man. That's just the way this world is. If you are an attractive person, you are going to, and you don't even have to. It's crazy. Have you ever seen this go down with, no pun intended? Have you ever seen this go down with attractive people? Like two attractive people who do not know each other. They meet at a wedding and they're having sex in a couple hours. Attractive people, that's how attractive people live their lives. Really attractive people. They don't even have to like each other. As a matter of fact, they can hate each other, but they will hook up. They will hook up. They'll go off somewhere. If you suspect the two hottest people who don't know each other at the wedding, if they're both missing and you suspect something's going on, you're right. Something is going on. They hooked up. The two hot people found each other. Anyway, that's why I think birth control should be over the counter without a prescription. I think we need to protect the hot people in their way of life. All right, let's move on. Here's one. Here's one from my hometown. This was big. I was following this last night. I almost went live with some breaking coverage just because I was so enthralled with it. But it was a fast-moving storm, so it didn't go through. But Chicago, man, we got ourselves some tornadoes yesterday. Yeah. Here, check this out. First of all, this is pretty cool. I shared this. There are a number of these videos circulating. Anytime you hear, anytime you hear like sirens in a big city, it's always just a little bit weirder. Like you're in a suburb, and you hear sirens, you're like, okay, it's a suburb. We've seen these things, but something weird about a big city, with the caverns of towers and all that stuff, and the way the sirens echo. It's just very weird. Also, what is this thing? I saw somebody posted this last night, and I thought, isn't this true? What is this thing where whenever we hear sirens, our very first inclination is to go outside? Like, and aren't the sirens supposed to tell us to not go outside? Like, aren't the sirens like, hey, something's happening out here. You might want to take shelter. But the first thing we do when we hear sirens is we all wander out to our driveway and we just stare. We stare up like there's a bugler in the sky we're gonna see, right? We know what it is. I mean, we understand that there are these speakers attached to these towers around town, and they play the siren. We understand that, yet we still walk to the end of our driveway and we all just look up in the sky. Like, whoa, where's that bugler? Like, we're just gonna see some dude up there. I don't know. Anyway, this was yesterday. This was a pretty cool video that I saw. Why is this rare? It's not rare for tornadoes to be in the Chicago area. As a matter of fact, it's quite common. Some of the biggest tornadoes, in American history have happened in Illinois, Wisconsin, northern Indiana, Iowa. I mean, they come sweeping right through there. They're sucked up into the Great Lakes and whatever the hell that happens. And so, yeah, but the issue is that in Chicago itself, in big cities typically do not get hit by tornadoes because tornadoes can't form when there's, 10 miles of buildings that are 30 stories high, right? So the tornadoes don't really get whipped up. But this was very strange. This was some cool video. This is from Marina Tower, or I guess it's the House of Blues now, but yeah, this was yesterday as the tornadoes were rolling through the Chicago area. Now that's like looking south towards the lake. Oh no, wait. Is that north? Is that the Hancock? That's looking north. Yeah. That's north towards the lake. All right. Ooh. So here is the story. Tornadoes touched down in Chicago area, grounding flights at both O'Hare and Midway and wrecking numerous homes. There were tornado touchdowns in Hodgkins, which is, again, close, a little too close to the Chicago downtown area. They usually don't get that close. We watched the storm move through Wrigleyville. I mean, I'm watching it live on TV last night, and they're like, there are tornado warnings going off in Wrigleyville, which is so rare. There are tornado warnings going off in River North. There are tornado warnings going off through Bridgeport. I mean, these are typically not places that are at risk for tornadoes because they're insulated by being neighborhoods inside a city. you go 10 miles outside the city, yeah, those places, Naperville, Plainfield, Orland Park, these places get hit by tornadoes all the time, but they don't typically get this close into the city. Tornadoes in the Chicago area delayed hundreds of flights and forced thousands of people to take shelter overnight. Twisters were seen near the city's O'Hare International Airport, sending travelers in multiple terminals searching for cover. Flights there and at Midway International Airport were grounded for about 45 minutes. Another tornado touched down in Campton Hills, which was also soaked with zero visibility rain. There was a tornado reportedly touched down in Elgin. There was a tornado that touched down in Hodgkins, as I mentioned before. Another tornado that touched down in unincorporated, what they're calling Homer Town. That's like unincorporated Orland Park, Homer Township. Yeah. Okay. So at least 5. Damage, not too bad. Some houses got crushed. There was a Menards there. I saw Menards had some damage to it there in Hodgkins. But yeah, nobody dead. Why? Because of basements. That's right. Nobody dies in tornadoes. You got a basement. You go in your basement and the house goes away. But then you're like, okay, good thing we were in the basement, because the tornado can't get you in the basement. All right, that was a big story out of Chicago yesterday. No deaths. No deaths being reported, although that could change, because there were a number of injuries, but no deaths, because tornadoes can't get you in a basement. Let's see here. What else do we have? Powerball. We're all very obsessed with the Powerball, aren't we? Powerball, how exciting. It was $750 million last night. Did you buy your tickets? Did you get in line? I told you don't. Feeling the magic. I'm feeling the vibes. Everybody was rushing out to buy their Powerball ticket last night. I told you right here. I said, don't do it. Doesn't feel right. Don't waste your $1 or $2, whatever it is. No, I said, hold on. Await my instructions. I'm completely in tune with this particular round of Powerball. Did you listen to me? Did you save your money? Because of course it rolled over again. There was no winner. There was no winner last. Don't waste your money. All right, so now the question is, should we buy tickets for the Saturday one? Should it go Saturday? It's going to be up to $850 million for Saturday. Oh, you guys, I'm not feeling it. I don't know. I'm not feeling it. You know what? Yes, I'm saying yes. Let's time to buy. Let's all buy our tickets. There you go. Powerball jackpot grows to an estimated $875 million, could reach as high as $900 million after no winner in Wednesday's drawing. No winner. The Powerball grand prize is growing once again after nobody won. Nobody won. The big prize for the next drawing is on Saturday, and it's now estimated to be around $875 million. So that would give you a $441 million lump payment. That's only half. Why are you taking half? All right, anyway. All right, yes. I don't know, man. I was like, I'm not feeling it. I don't know if I should buy tickets for Saturday or expect it to roll over again. I'm not feeling it. Why am I not feeling it? And in that moment, I felt it. And that's when I went, nope, we're buying them. Something changed. All right. One of us is going to win. Hey, if one of us wins and you utilized my energy right there to decide to buy your ticket, just cut me in a little bit. You can drop me a tip. Just throw a little tip into the ship. That'd be great. Nothing crazy. Although you do now have $400 million. You could give me 10. You could give me 10. You know what we could do with the show with 10? I would continue to do the show. There you go. Hollywood strike. We got a Hollywood strike going on. That's right. We got the writer's strike. They've been on strike now for feels like a couple of months. So we're getting a whole bunch of really bad shows getting crammed down. Oh boy, I got to talk about a bad one that's coming up. Is it bad though? We'll discuss. Yeah, we will. So the writers have been on strike, so they can't do any new original content like drama or anything like that. Can't do that nonsense. So that means they got to do a whole bunch of game shows with celebrities. Remember when Hollywood Game Night? Remember those stupid shows all came Okay, so those are easy shows you don't need writers for, and you can still rely on star power, except au contraire, because the actors are now going on strike. That's right. This is the first time in, what are they saying, 70 years that there has been a Hollywood strike of this magnitude that will shut down all aspects of production. Stars are going to go on strike too. So not necessarily in support of the writers. The writers have been fighting this now for a couple of months. But it is over the same thing. It's over, the changing landscape of how people get paid. You used to get paid when your show aired. Show's on TV. It airs at this time. There are this many commercials. You get paid based on that. And even then, there was like shady accounting and people were getting screwed. But you understood how that was. They don't know how to monetize it now. Because how many times are people watching stuff? Do you get paid every time somebody watches it? If I watch Sopranos for like the 6th time through on Netflix, should they get paid for that? So these are the kinds of things that are having to be hammered out between the studios and the artists, the writers, who are definitely artists, the writers and the actors. Hollywood set for first complete shutdown strike since 1960. Okay, so it's been since 1960. Hollywood actors were poised to go on strike Thursday, joining writers in the first industry-wide shutdown in 63 years after last-ditch talks failed. The Screen Actors Guild, SAG-AFTRA, which represents 160,000 performers, including A-list stars, said negotiations late Wednesday had ended without a deal on their demands over dwindling pay and the threat posed by artificial intelligence. I don't know what that means. Anyway, here's what it's going to mean. So there are a whole bunch of big summer movies that are about to open, and there are a whole bunch of A-list celebrities who are heavily leveraged in these new movies that are about to open. What's the one that we're seeing? We're seeing, I don't know, whatever it is. But the point is this: as soon as they call this strike, every single one of these like big these Hollywood movies have to come off the promotion trail. If they're scheduled to do Jimmy Fallon next week, they have to cancel Jimmy Fallon. They can't do anything. They can't do any promotions. They have to just completely be on strike. It's going to be weird. It's going to be weird. We're not going to have any actors. We're not going to have any writers. We're just going to, well, thank God, there's probably things that you've been meaning to watch and get caught up on. Well, there's not going to be anything new to tempt you. It's going to be bad. It's going to be bad for a while. This is going to suck. All right. Hollywood actors set to go on strike. White House cocaine. Let's bring this story back. Apparently, the White House cocaine situation is closed. They don't know who did it. They don't know whose it is. And ain't nobody going to talk about it. First on CNN, Secret Service concludes its cocaine investigation with no suspects having been identified. Let's see what they say here. The Secret Service has concluded its investigation into the small bag of cocaine found at the White House and has been unable to identify a suspect, according to a statement from the U.S. Secret Service. Secret Service officials combed through security systems and indexed several hundred individuals who entered the West Wing in the days preceding the discovery and were unable to identify a suspect. The Secret Service said FBI lab results from the packaging found insufficient DNA, of course, and could not retrieve any fingerprints. Therefore, the Secret Service is not able to compare evidence against the known pool of individuals, a statement from the United States Secret Service said. Investigators were also unable to identify the particular moment or day when the baggie was left inside the West Wing cubby near the lower level entrance where it was discovered. Okay, so like where it was discovered. So there's this area in the White House where you're not allowed to bring phones. You're not allowed to bring any kind of recording devices and all that kind of stuff. So it's almost like you ever been in a really nice house, and when you come in from the winter, there's like that changing area where you take off your boots and you take off your hat, right? So you're not tracking all the cold in the winter into the rest of the house. A changing room, I don't know. It's a rich people thing. It's a rich people room. So that's kind of like what this room is here. And they have all of these cubbies. They're calling them cubbies. Well, what they are slots for visitors to this part of the White House to take their electronic devices and store them there because they're not allowed to bring your cameras and all that stuff into the White House. So that is apparently where they found this like little baggie, little like club baggie of little Coke. So, it seems to me that it's probably somebody who came in Like, I could see somebody having this little baggie of coke in their pocket, and they come through and they have to put their phone, in this little thing. I can see reaching in and, having you pulling your phone out, and maybe that little baggie is a little wet and sticky or whatever, and it sticks to the phone, flat or whatever, and you put the phone in there. I could totally, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how it seems to me they should be able to figure out who did it. It seems to me there should be an answer here. It's the White House. I would like to think it would be a little bit more secured than that, but whatever. This seems like an absurd story anyway. I mean, if you don't think that people who work in the White House do cocaine, then you've never seen The West Wing, because those people are working until 5:00 in the morning, 7 days a week. They are just constantly going. There has been cocaine in the White House since Hamilton Jordan, who was chief of staff to Jimmy Carter, who had to step down as chief of staff for doing cocaine in the White House. I mean, cocaine is the fuel of ambitious, highly driven people. I know it's also the fuel of club douches, but the guy in a club doing cocaine is not, to me, the same person who's doing cocaine because they've got this many stacks of Supreme Court documents that they have to go through. You know what I mean? I do think it's a difference. It is a tool. So I don't know. So it could have been anybody. But, this idea that cocaine doesn't exist in absolutely every little facet of especially successful society. Yeah, you might find your crack cocaine, down there in the lower echelons, but at the higher echelons of society, man, people do cocaine a lot. There's a lot of cocaine going on out there. I still want answers, though. I want a bunch of answers to a whole bunch of things. But yeah, I definitely want to know whose coke it was. And they can find out. Watch it be some foreign national, and they're trying to protect him now because they don't want to embarrass him. Like some dude that came in with like the Saudi diplomatic party or what, you know what I mean? Because those are the people who come through. I don't know. All right, Twitter killer. Let's talk about Twitter killer. Twitter killer is trending again because there are big stories circulating now about how the Twitter killer Threads is now well over 100 million people closing every day on the lead that Twitter has over them. Threads, it is believed, if it keeps growing the way that it has grown in the 1 week now since it launched, it will surpass Twitter by the second week of August. By the second week of August, Threads will have more users, more people engaged with that platform than Twitter. So there's big problems. The other problems are happening with advertisers. Threads is not selling advertising yet. And this is because they are, like, Meta has their deals in place, but they have not specifically begun to utilize the advertising aspects of Threads. So basically what the story that's going out is about how all of these advertisers are just basically begging Threads to allow them to advertise because Threads is so hot right now. Threads is hot right now. People are talking about it. So advertisers are like, well, now is when we would like to launch. And they're like, no, sorry, we can't do it. As Twitter continues to implode, advertisers pin their hopes on Threads. Instagram Threads debuted last week and has amassed more than 100 million signups, which has caught the attention of numerous companies, several digital marketing agencies, and industry experts. Many businesses that have stopped advertising on Twitter over brand safety concerns are excited about the possibility of advertising on Threads once that option becomes available. So that's the problem. They're not ready. Threads is not ready to start cashing checks. In order for Threads to have a major impact on online advertising, it's going to need users who regularly interact with each other on the site. Advertisers are eagerly watching how Meta's new Threads messaging app develops over the next few months as they look for a new social channel to reach consumers while Twitter continues to struggle. Instagram Threads debuted last week and has amassed more than 100 million signups, which has caught the attention of numerous companies. Natasha look at her last name. Natasha Blumenkron. That is a hell of a Natasha Blumenkron. That's a hell of a name. Natasha, this is my girlfriend, Natasha Blumenkron. That is awesome. Natasha Blumenkron, vice president of paid social for marketing firm Tenutsi, said that Threads has become the topic du jour at her company and with her company's clients who are trying to figure out how the messaging app fits into their existing social media strategies. Many businesses that have stopped advertising on Twitter over brand safety concerns, including the reported increase in racist and hateful speech on the platform under the ownership of Tesla chief Elon Musk, blah, blah, blah. These brands are now excited about the possibility of advertising on Threads. Meta is currently more focused on building the core of their Threads product as opposed to monetizing the app. All right, so there you go. What, over 100 million, and of course, all of the. Look, it's been a week. Here's what I'll say. I still like Twitter better. I'm still more comfortable with Twitter. I'm spending more time on Threads. I'm forcing but Threads is, you can't do everything that you can do on Twitter yet. And they're saying that you will be able to, but not yet. Like for instance, hashtags and trends and search by topic and all that kind of stuff. Can't do that on Threads yet. They say that you're going to be able to. You're going to be able to soon, so sit tight. But right now, it's almost like this is the first week of a new restaurant, right? Where they don't have the full menu out. They're still working through some things. I will say this. It is very similar to Twitter. And that is a great concern of anybody of my age or my generation who is now being asked to embrace a new form of social media. We know what we know. We don't want to learn more, right? That's kind of like the big hurdle. So Threads is exactly like Twitter. Like if you know how to do Twitter, you know how to do Threads. It's the same thing. Twitter seems a little bit darker like now lately, like it to me, but maybe it's just because of all the time that I'm spending on Threads, and there's a different vibe on Threads. Like Threads is there's almost no politics on Threads, which is so nice. Like everything isn't about that's because of the libs. Everything's not that, and that's kind of nice. That'll change. I'm sure that'll change. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not sold right now on saying that Threads is better than Twitter. It's a better vibe. I'll say that. It's a better vibe. I like the vibe on Threads better. You can be zany and wacky and silly. You can be stupid. You can be silly. It's fun. You'll laugh. That's pretty much what Threads is for me right now. And the lack of politics. The lack of politics is important. Now, also, I'm not following anybody. Like anybody that I used to follow on Twitter that, tends to get into politics. I'm not following anybody like that on Threads. So maybe this is just an opportunity for me to curate a whole new kind of vibe on my own timeline. I don't know, whatever. Bob Iger, there's this big rich guy meeting going on. They have these secret rich guy lizard meetings where they decide the fate of humanity and all that stuff. One of those is going on. Sun Valley, this is like these are the people who control the message, of the lizard people overlords. Sun Valley is a meeting of all the people who control what we think and how we believe. And Bob Iger, who is the president of Disney, Bob Iger, of course, the man who built Disney into the behemoth that it was, he looked off on the horizon, saw a giant flaming asteroid heading towards Earth, and he said, I'm going to retire. And he retired. And then that giant flaming asteroid got closer and closer, and Disney went, want to come back? And he said, pay me double. And they said, okay. And now he's there. He's back. Bob Iger is back in charge of Disney, and he's telling people at Sun Valley that he sees he envisions a world where Disney divests itself of its television products. Now, this is a big deal because Disney owns ABC Network. Disney owns ESPN. Bob Iger is talking about how he doesn't see how television makes sense anymore. Maybe he would spin them off into their own brands. Maybe an ESPN would revert back to an ESPN standalone. Maybe ABC would be sold to a different operator. But yeah, Bob Iger shocking the world there in Sun Valley, saying that Disney might not be in TV in a couple of years. Okay, so that's why Disney and Iger are trending today. What else do we have? Let's see. Hold on. Why is this not? Okay, we got a surgeon. Yeah, this is a good one. We got a surgeon in Ohio who has been banned from being a doctor. Imagine that. You know why? Because of TikTok surgeries. This is a plastic surgeon in Ohio who would do surgeries over TikTok. And apparently there were some things that went wrong. So in Ohio, the medical board, they're like, you can't do this anymore. And then she did it again. She got suspended. She got in trouble. And she did it again. She can't stop herself from doing surgeries on TikTok. I'm going to tell you this story. This is when I was younger I don't know, when I was younger, I thought doctors were special. I thought that anybody, well, they're a doctor. It was like that. It was like, you listen to what this person says. That this person didn't go to any parties in college, and they went like an extra 4 years. They had no fun, but they're a doctor, so we're going to listen to them now. That changed once I got to know doctors. Like once I became a grown-up, and I have a number of friends who are doctors, and I can tell you a number of very close friends who are doctors, and I can tell you many of them are morons. They're idiots. They're crazy people. They are not what I got one friend who's a doctor. He is so hysterically arrogant. By the way, I'm not talking about Schwartz on any of these. I call Schwartz out to his face. These are other people. These are other doctors. Boy, when I became an adult, did I learn about doctors. I'm like, oh, they're just idiots. Oh, they're just idiots who could, pass tests. And that's all. Plastic surgeon who live streamed procedures on TikTok banned from practicing medicine in Ohio. Okay. Let's see. An Ohio plastic surgeon's state medical license was permanently revoked Wednesday after a medical board determined she harmed patients while live streaming their surgeries on the social media app TikTok. The Ohio Medical Board voted to ban Catherine Grawe. That's how it's spelled. Grawe. Grawe. Catherine Grawe, also known as Dr. Roxy. Is she bucking for a reality show? Hi, y'all. It's Dr. Roxy on TikTok. The Ohio Medical Board voted to ban Catherine Grawe, also known as Dr. Roxy, in her plastic surgery practice, Roxy Plastic Surgery, and to her many TikTok followers. She's no longer ever allowed to practice again in the state. Wait, this is how it's worded. Plastic surgery, also known as Dr. Roxy in her plastic surgery practice, Roxy Plastic Surgery, and to her many TikTok followers from ever practicing again in the state. So that's not even up for debate. She's just not allowed. She wants to be, she's a damn plastic surgeon, but she's more interested in being a TikTok influencer that she's going to just flush her entire career down the toilet. See, that's not a choice. That is not a decision that a normal person would make. And when you think of normal, you think that, well, doctors, that's at least their baseline. Doctors begin at normal and then they become exceptional. No, this doctor isn't even normal. She would rather be a TikTok influencer than, ply her craft that she studied in school for. It ain't easy being a surgeon. Surgeons are legit. Crazy person. All right, what else do we have here? Also trending. Okay. This guy, yeah, we'll talk about this because this was kind of a big deal for me. The dude who is believed. Do you guys remember the Tylenol poisonings? Do you remember Tylenol when you couldn't take Tylenol for like a decade, even though this whole thing really only lasted like 6 months? Back in like 1982, there was a rash of deaths from people taking Tylenol that was purchased at like Walgreens or wherever. So you'd buy Tylenol, you'd take it home, you'd have a headache, you'd take an aspirin, and you'd die. You'd start to die. And they recalled all the Tylenol, and there was a killer. It was determined that there was somebody who was doing this purposely. They were tampering with Tylenol. The Tylenol murders, I believe 7 people died. It's the reason that we have crazy packaging now for like aspirin and stuff like that. It's the reason why everything's a child safety cap. Everything's got sealed. Everything is sealed now. It's wrapped in plastic. Anyway, the man who everyone believes did it, but they just could never nail him, he's dead now. James Lewis, the suspect in the 1982 Tylenol poisonings that killed 7 people in the Chicago area, has died. The suspect in the 1982 Tylenol poisonings that killed 7 people triggered a nationwide panic and led to an overhaul in the safety of the over-the-counter medications packaging. He has died, according to police. Officers, firefighters, and EMTs responding to a report of an unresponsive person at about 4 p.m. Sunday found James W. Lewis dead in his Cambridge, Massachusetts home. He was 76 years old. Following an investigation, Lewis's death was determined to be not suspicious, the statement goes on to say. No one was ever charged in the Tylenol deaths of 7. They took the over-the-counter painkillers that were laced with cyanide. Lewis served more than 12, the guy who's dead now. Lewis served more than 12 years in prison for sending an extortion note to manufacturer Johnson & Johnson, demanding $1 million to stop the killing. He and his wife moved to Massachusetts in 1995 following his release from prison. So he wasn't convicted of the actual murders because they couldn't tie him directly to it, but he was convicted of sending a ransom note to Johnson & Johnson saying that he did it, describing how he did it, and then, saying, give me $1 million. Lewis, who had a history of trouble with the law, always denied any role in the Tylenol deaths, but remained a suspect, and in 2010 gave DNA samples to the FBI. He even created a website in which he said he was framed. Although the couple lived briefly in Chicago in the early 1980s, Lewis said that they were in New York City at the time of the poisonings. All right, well, there you have it. He's dead. Do we care? Nope, we really don't. Son of a bitch. We stopped taking Tylenol for my entire generation. That's how I got hooked on ibuprofen. I didn't do Tylenol. Tylenol is would you die? You can eat some Tylenol, you're going to die. Even though it wasn't true. It was just like a batch, but it was also a batch in like stores around where I might have bought them, right? Because it was happening in my neighborhood. It was a nationwide story because they pulled Tylenol off the shelves nationwide, but the deaths were all happening one town over. It's crazy. All right, here's another one. So we've got the writer's strike and we've got no celebrities. And we've got a dying medium of network television. So that comes, actually, I want to make fun of this, but I can't make fun of it because this is an absolutely brilliant, brilliant thing. ABC Television has a new show that they are going to be debuting. When does it debut? Let's see, when does it debut? Let me make sure. When is it going to be? July 17th? Monday, July 17th. Is that when it's going to be on? I don't know. All right, ABC's got a new show called, ladies and gentlemen, The Golden Bachelor. They've released the first teaser for the senior citizen dating show. That's right. The Bachelor franchise, which is big, big, stupid money with zero overhead for ABC. Oh my God, does ABC make money on The Bachelor? It's probably what keeps the entire network afloat. So what have they decided? They've decided that, the people who are actually watching The Bachelor, they don't really want to watch 20-year-olds. They don't really care about 20. The people who still watch network television, at least the people who should be the core because they're the biggest group of people, are old people. Old people still, nobody under 40, nobody at 45, nobody under 45, engages in appointment TV anymore. They just don't. It's not how people watch TV. You know who do? Old people, older people who've been watching TV a certain way their whole life. They still have cable. They still have channels. They still scroll. They can still go and channel flip. Other people, we can't do that. The people who watch TV on apps, we can't do that. Apps are, that's takes forever. But my point is this. ABC has a core audience of 55-year-olds. That's who they're looking at. They're like, we need to sell. Who's watching? That's the first question. Who is still watching? And they're like, well, grandma, 55 plus. That's who's still watching network television. All right, what do they want to see? Well, it turns out they don't want to see 20-year-old beer tub girls looking for love, right? They're kind of like, ugh. So ABC is sort of revamping The Bachelor, and they're doing it with old people. And I think this is an absolutely brilliant idea. Bunch of old people looking for a last chance at love. It has an opportunity to be absolutely delightful. Doesn't have to be, everything about The Bachelor doesn't have to be, would you do her? It's not all about sex. This could be a very good thing. And I think it's smart. I think you need to start programming primetime television on network TV exclusively to older audiences. And, Hell, it explains why Vanna White is still on. That older audience, they don't mind. They want what they want. They want something that's familiar to them. And dudes with neck tats and girls with nose piercings, and that's not what they want to see. They want to see two people fall in love to Marvin Gaye music or Frank Sinatra song. That's what's happening. At long last, it's finally time for The Golden Bachelor. After years and years and years of waiting for the Bachelor franchise's senior citizen spinoff, the first teaser for the new series is here. In an ABC's first promo, exclusively revealed by Variety, the franchise's signature red rose is turned gold. Get it? Golden Bachelor. Here's your rose. Because I guess that's a thing. I'd never watched The Bachelor. I've never watched it. Here's your rose. But I guess that's a thing. For this one, it's a golden rose. Get it? Golden Bachelor. Because they're old. In ABC's first promo, exclusively revealed, the quick trailer is set to the tune of This Magic Moment, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, it's not much of a trailer. That's why I'm not showing it to you. While Variety has the first footage for the show, the Golden Man isn't being unveiled quite yet. ABC plans to reveal the identity of its mature mystery star next week on Good Morning America. Oh, you just know it's going to be like, it's going to be just, this dude is going to be, that guy, and you're all going to know who I'm going to talk about. The guy who looks like Santa Claus? He's like the old man who's like always in pop-ups. He looks like Santa Claus, but he's ripped. He's always shirtless in jeans, and he's like, I'm 85. It's like that. It should be like that guy. That should be the first Bachelor. It's gonna be some silver fox. I'm wondering what the women are going. Yeah, I'm wondering women. I didn't probably put together some good looking women. I don't know what age are we talking about here. I'm intrigued. Golden Bachelor. I don't know when it's gonna start though. All right, it's going to air Mondays this fall. All right, never mind. Forget it. I'm not that interested. You're going to make me wait a couple of months. I thought it was like next week. I thought it was coming this week. You're just going to unveil The Bachelor next week. Okay, that's fine. Golden Bachelor coming to ABC. All right, here. How about this one? Kevin Spacey. We haven't been getting a whole lot of updates on Kevin Spacey's situation. Kevin Spacey's on trial in the UK for historical sex crimes or whatever the hell it is. I'm not even sure. He was over there. He was, a lot of people say a lot of stuff about Kevin Spacey. He's been in and out of court. He's apparently a creep. But this is some stuff that happened while he was living in England. A whole bunch of young actors are saying, that he groomed them. And that's the words that they're using there, even though they were all in their mid-20s and professional actors working in London at the highest level. This was not, So grooming, come on. I think we really need to apply that to children who are being, taken advantage of by manipulative adults. That's what grooming is. Kevin Spacey, a 25-year-old wannabe actor in London, hanging out with Kevin Spacey. That's not grooming. That 25-year-old actor is going, I could become friends with Kevin Spacey. Maybe that'd be good for my career. That's not grooming. That is not grooming. But anyway, so Kevin Spacey's trial's been going on now for 3 weeks. I don't know how it's going. I don't know if he's winning. I don't know. But he took the stand yesterday. So we've got some. He was being asked questions on the stand. So Kevin Spacey is talking about these charges. Kevin Spacey has denied grabbing a man's genitals so hard while on the freeway that the man almost crashed the car they were traveling in. Spacey, who is now in the third week of his sexual assault trial in the UK, told the jury at Southwark Crown Court in London that the alleged assault never happened. On Thursday morning, Spacey's barrister, Patrick Gibbs, KC, asked the actor, who was sat in the witness box, whether the car crash incident had taken place during the early 2000s, to which Spacey replied, no, I was not on a suicide mission on any of those years. Like, it's just so snarky, right? It's just like the way that Kevin Spacey would respond, just, no, oh God. Let's see here. Earlier, Spacey told the jury his alleged accuser was flirtatious and that the touching did not happen in an aggressive or violent way. So Spacey's like, yeah, we were touching each other. You guys a little flirt, you know, but it wasn't in an aggressive or violent way. So that's how Spacey is. Spacey then says, I'm a big flirt. Spacey replied when asked if he was flirtatious himself. We had a very fun time together, Spacey told the court. He added that the man said the experience was new for him and he did not want to go any further. I respected that, Spacey said. All right, so Spacey's hooking up with this guy, a little touchy-feely, you know, little whatever it is those guys get into. I don't know. And at some point, the dude was like, you know what? I'm not actually gay. And Spacey's like, I respected that, and it went no further. Okay, so there you have it. That's what he says there. What else do we have? Gibbs also questioned Spacey about the most serious allegations in which he is accused of drugging a man before performing oral sex on him whilst he was unconscious. So Spacey's being accused of drugging a guy, knocking him unconscious, and then, you know, taking care of him while he's unconscious. Spacey said that when originally questioned by police, he hadn't recognized the alleged victim's name. Photograph, or even recognized the allegation. The actor said his initial thought was, this is someone who's just shaken me down, and I've faced this before. Originally, the alleged victim had believed the encounter had taken place in mid-August, which Spacey proved could not have been the case because of his frequent international travel that month. After a private investigator tracked down the complainant's then phone number, telephone records showed Spacey had made numerous phone calls and sent a number of text messages to the man on the night the incident was said to have taken place. Okay, all right, Spacey. Spacey's like, I don't even know the guy. Well, you're calling him and texting him. What do you mean you don't know him? Originally, the alleged victim had believed the encounter had taken place. Spacey also said that he had found an old telephone in his storage locker that showed that he had saved the man's number in his phone. I don't know what any of this means. The House of Cards actor's account of the evening is that the two men had a consensual sexual encounter in which Spacey performed oral sex on the complainant during what was a, quote, very nice and lovely evening. I'll say. Spacey said he then went to the bathroom, and when he returned, the man had left hurriedly. If he regretted it immediately, I don't know. I can't speak for him, Spacey said. But something was odd, something was strange, and it did concern me, Spacey added. Earlier, Spacey appeared relaxed and smiling in the witness box after his barrister's opening remarks. The 63-year-old actor told jurors that he had an excessive amount of energy when he was a youngster, and it was recommended that he go to drama classes. Always trying to charm them. Spacey attended the Juilliard School. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about this. Spacey, who denies 12 charges of sexual assault against 4 men, told the court about his stint as artistic director at London's Old Vic Theatre. That's what he was doing when all this stuff went down. When he went down, see what I did? I don't deserve that. I'm an asshole. You people should drop off right now. All right, that's gonna do it. That's Kevin Spacey. I have no idea what's going on with his trial over there. This is just the first little bit of news that we've seen. Who's trending and what for? Why is Donald Glover trending? Why is the great Donald Glover trending? God, I hope he's not dead, did something stupid, or is being dragged. Well, what's he doing? First look at Mr. and Mrs. Smith starring Donald Glover. Are they making Remember Mr. and Mrs. Smith? That was Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie. Wasn't that just like a couple of years ago? Are they remaking that with Donald Glover and somebody? So are they just remaking it with black people? I mean, that's fine. They do that all the time. They did that with It's About Last Night. I watched both. I enjoyed them. But is that what this is? Is this the same? Is this just a recasting of Mr. and Mrs. Smith, except for an urban audience? Let's call it what it is. It's targeting the audience who's going to go see it. It's a series? What? It's a series? First look at Mr. and Mrs. Smith starring Donald Glover and Maya Erskine, set to be released in November. I don't know what that is. First teaser for Mr. and Mrs. Smith starring Donald Glover. All right, let's watch this. All right, why not? Let's take a look at it. We'll see what this is. I like Donald Glover. I think he's an absolute genius. I think that we all need to just take a step back and let him cook, as they say. Where is he? All right, hold on. All right, so this is going to be the trailer for it. Let's check this out. All right, so here's the new trailer for the Donald Glover series, Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
You ever kill anyone?
Do I look like I have?
This marriage is starting off on a great foot.
You ever kill anyone?
That's it? That's the whole thing?
This marriage is starting off on a great foot.
Look at him. He's like maturing. He's like maturing into this, like, you know, Billy D. Williams kind of thing. His spin as Lando Calrissian really sort of. All right, I guess that's all we got there. Hold on, give me a second here. All righty, and we are back again. All right, so I guess that's why Donald Glover is trending. Is there a longer one? Nope. Oh, they all seem pretty short. Don't know anything about it. Don't know anything about it. Anybody in the chat room know? Sorry, I'm just catching up on some of the conversations that I see unfolding right now in our chat room. Oh, our chat room, isn't that? Boardwalk Empire is trending. Why is Gabby Douglas trending? What's going on with her? What did she do? Oh, my God. Oh, God. Gabby Douglas just announced her comeback. What? Gabby Douglas via Instagram. Hey, guys, long time no post. As you all know, I stepped back from socials, and in that time, I did a lot of journaling. Reflecting, so I don't care. Who is she even? Is she a gymnast or an ice skater? I'm not sure. I don't know. She's trending number one. I should know. This is, you know, but I don't care. What's she coming back from? She's a gymnast. What is she, 40? Is she a 40-year-old? What do you mean she's coming back? She mean coming back to social media? That's not a thing. I don't care about that. Actor strike is trending. No. What did Buster Olney do? Buster Olney is, I can't even with Buster Olney. All right, let me see. Let's check. I mean, we're definitely out of things. I warned you guys, man, these dog days of summer, there's just not a whole lot of like stories. People not making news. Should we check in with the temperature? Yeah, let's check in with the temp. Let's see what it is now. 95 degrees now at 138. That's nothing. Okay, we just covered that. More Kevin Spacey news coming out. Nope. Not interested in any of that. Okay. All right, guys, that's it. I honestly don't know. We're going to run a little bit short today. There's not a whole lot of stuff that's happening. There's not much more that I can talk about. Let me see. Boy, this is really depressing. I'm looking at it. I'm like 21 minutes. We got 21 minutes before, top of the hour. I like to give you 2 hours. I don't know what I can do for 21 minutes. I don't think I have. Let's see. Let's go to Google Trends. I will go 100 trends deep if I have to. If I have to find something for you guys for us to talk about here. All right, let's see here. All right, let's see. Come on, Google Trends. Come on. What are everybody looking up right now? Gas leak. Euless gas leak forces dozens to. Okay, we got big breaking local news. This 6 hours ago. Okay, apparently it's not big breaking, but it's number one, and there was a gas leak in Euless. All right. See what this is about. Gas. That seems, I don't like gas. I don't like the whole idea that, like, our neighborhoods sit on top of this 100-year-old piping of gas. And we've been kicking the infrastructure can down the road for so long. Who knows how many of these neighborhoods are just going to blow up? Had a whole block in Chicago blow up once when I was working in downtown Chicago, and I'll never forget. I think we talked about this on one of the shows. I was stuck in traffic. I couldn't understand what the traffic was, and I get home and I'm like, holy shit, that's what it was. An entire block blew up. Gas. I don't know, man. Gas seems like the kind of thing that we're still doing, even though there are probably better, safer ways to do it, but we're just still doing it because that's just the way we've always done it. I don't know. Dozens of people in Euless were woken up in the middle of the night, and the way gas kills you is just so insidious. You fall asleep, and then you wake up dead, and people find you. And you never know. Like, you never know. There's no warning. There's no smell. You never know. Like, what do you? Do you sleep naked? I don't sleep naked, but maybe you're accidentally sleeping naked, and now people are gonna find you like that. No, it's the worst. Dozens of people in Euless were woken up in the middle of the night and forced to evacuate their homes due to a gas leak. The Euless Fire Department is working to repair the natural gas leak in the area of South Pipeline and South Main. Main and Pipeline is where they've got the gas leak. That sounds kind of perfect. The leak is from a 6-inch gas line. People began reporting the leak around 1 a.m. Crews evacuated homes in the area of the break, and about 100 people were evacuated to a church in the area. The people in the neighborhood were allowed to return home before 6 a.m. All right, so there you go. That happened earlier. But it's trending number one. I don't know why it's trending number one, but it is. Let's see. Thunderstorms. We got weather. We're not going to talk about weather. That's not something we're going to do here. Pythons. James did this story last night. James talked about during the Radio Misfits show. We do a second stream. I do this show every Monday through Friday, noon till whenever. It's hot topics, current events, headlines, that sort of thing. But the nighttime show at 9 o'clock, that's myself, James Parker, and E. More conversational. He brought up a story yesterday. He was talking about this, about how there are two kinds of pythons, and they breed in Florida. It's a crazy python story. I don't have time for it. You can listen to last night's show. Just go to it, pugscast.com. You can find all past episodes of both Radio Misfits and the High Noon Report right there at pugscast.com. Bitcoin is trending. Is that still a thing? People, you don't hear as much about Bitcoin anymore. Although I did see, I can't remember who it was. There was a funny clip that was on YouTube. Some funny little clip. Some athlete from like 4 years ago who had like taken payment in Bitcoin. He was lamenting the decision, and it was kind of funny. But I don't know anything about Bitcoin. I don't know anything about it. Remember that when people were like taking their payments, and I'm gonna do it all in Bitcoin. Well, I don't know how that's worked out for those people. I think the only people who made money on Bitcoin were like the first 100 people who made money on Bitcoin. And then everybody else was like, we're going to make money too. And I don't know if it works that way. Let's see here. What else do we have? So there you go. Bitcoin is trending. I don't know why. I didn't tell you why it's trending. I just, Leonardo DiCaprio. Who's Gigi Hadid? Is that one of his much younger girlfriends? Probably. I don't know. Oh, looks like my old stomping grounds. Man shoots his girlfriend in Mariano's shooting. Mariano's is a grocery store in the Chicagoland area. Somebody shot his girlfriend, 95th Street, Evergreen Park, Mariano's. Heads up. What else do we got? Yeah, okay, there's nothing. I'm really trying to find stuff that we can just riff on here. Final 15 minutes of today's show. I don't have it. Okay, nah, I got nothing else for you. Guys, I'm sorry I ran out. I tried to keep it going. I tried to keep rolling through here. I was hoping we'd get you the full 2 hours. Sometimes I give you 3 hours. Sometimes I've given you 3 hours plus, so please don't hold it against me. We are going to run a little bit short today. I'd rather not press it. I'd rather just, get moving. We'll come back tonight at 9 o'clock. We'll do a Radio Misfits show. Have you been listening to the Radio Misfits shows every Monday through Thursday at 9 p.m.? Oh, I think we've been having some real good, clean fun. Good, clean fun. I have got my poetry. Tip the show if you can, folks. I'd really appreciate that. That's how these shows are brought to you every day through your gratuities, your tips. You guys are the best, man. You guys are the best. Thank you so much. What up, dog? What up? I see. I'm using that properly because I'm actually talking to the dog. What up, dog? Why you look guilty? She's doing that thing that dogs do where she knows she's being talked to, but she won't make direct eye contact with me, so she's just like kind of. It's understood. All right. How you doing? You ready to get the rest of the day started there, girl? Are you going to come back at 9 o'clock? Hey. It's a bad angle. All right. That's going to do it. I love you guys. See you tonight at 9 o'clock for Radio Misfits, right here on the Radio Misfits podcast and streaming platform. Bye, everybody. I don't need no